Peace and love, kings, queens, and gods. My name is Jarek. I'm the Floating Yogi, and this is Floating Yogi's Book Club. Come on in, sit down, get comfortable, and let's see what else. Ooh, I'm excited about tonight. I got a lot of fun stuff tonight. But before we get there, I'd like to thank Yogi, because this broadcast is brought to you by UE, Urban Yogic Wellness and Education. We're restructuring how we see health and wellness in the community, bringing the power of growth and healing back to the individual's hands. You got to want it, though, and not just superficially want it. You got to do something for it. You got to actually put in effort towards your own growth. How? Why? Why would that be a thing? Anyway, there's also another thing that's pretty important. Fitness is fashion and mental health is wealth. Born to Fly Fitness, they out here. Private sessions available. Go and check him out, yo. He gonna get you right. Calisthenics, he gonna get you right. I'm gonna get you right with the yoga. He gonna find the fine tune in betweens and get. Oh, and G could tap in on it too, cause she got the sessions with him anyway. Got questions about that? Hit it up. Any questions about these magical things that go on? He said the what? The sound. The Marines, the bowls, the bells, all these, yes, they are here for you in abundance. And with these, just check out my website. Another way you can contribute to the cause, thefloatingyogi.com. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, all that stuff is here. You can buy badges on IG. I think I have it set up on YouTube as well. Blah, 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 blah. However, there's a daily meditation accountability group, right? That's in my stories. It's as simple as this. If you want to better yourself and you're like, I don't know, it's easy to stay in routine and in flow when there's other people around me, that type of mindset, that type of mentality, and that's what's important to you. That's what's really going to help you to soar and become a better version of yourself. I encourage you to tap into the daily meditation accountability. After a while, once I see you meditating every day, you're sharing, letting other people know, letting me know about how your meditation, your practice in general has been deepening, what different types of meditations you've been trying as we go through this meditation journey, then you stay a little bit more connected. Your mind space gets a little bit clearer. You're a little bit more in control and the conscious creator of your life. So, and it's easy to do that with a group. We got it. Check on my stories, vote, meditate, share, and gives you an entry into the monthly giveaway. What else is there? There's one more thing. These magical bells, bowls, Buddha blessing. Get the bowls and stuff on the website, right? Because you're going to hear it in the soundtrack. What? The soundtrack? No commercials! The soundtrack, streaming on all platforms, live from Costa Rica. Great way to start the day to get that meditation. Then after you listen to that soundtrack, after you join me in Costa Rica, you hear the howler monkeys in the background, you hear the birds chirping, the thunderstorm going, you're like, oh wow, I'm ready to start my day. I've gone through the storm. And I say, calm. What? Come on now, let's get it. Then just vote, meditate, and share. Boom. I think that's it. Nope. Because we got Super Center. Another way to create that community I was talking about is my sort of Ashtanga practice. That's what I practice. It's been working phenomenally for me. For everyone that I know, they've been impacted in such a great way. It's just the basics to improve whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that you want to be better at. Maybe it's your faith, your religion, your passion, your creativity, understanding yourself, finding more calmness, more centeredness. Maybe it's physical ailments that are going on. This is the way to get. It is body therapy, not just body, mind, spirit, and conscious. I'm going to throw that in there too, because our energy is different from our conscious. We're going to learn a little bit more about that today. So that's all the credits, all that good stuff. Now that that's done, we were last talking about love. We were talking about ownership. We were talking about possession. We were talking about attachment and how we just trick ourselves, and the smarter the mind, the more deceptive the deceit. So it don't mean that you're smarter and now you can get away from those things. It just means you're going to find more trickier ways to trick yourself until you're in a trick bag and didn't know you were tricked. I sip my water before we begin. So, from Maya to reality. Maya in Sanskrit means illusion. So we're coming from illusion to reality. However, we have to figure out what reality is, and we have to figure out what the illusion is and how that was created. Otherwise, we don't know how we got there or how We just know that we're here. So the lesson itself is lost, and it's about the journey. So, the first question. Osho, in which way can the practice of self-remembering transform the human mind? That's my Osho impression. Man is not centered in himself. He is born centered. But the society, the family, the education, the culture, they push him off center. And they push him off center in a very cunning way, knowingly or unknowingly. Knowingly or unknowingly. So everyone becomes, in a sense, eccentric, off the center. There are reasons, survival reasons for it. When a child is born, he has to be forced into a certain discipline. He cannot be allowed freedom. If he is allowed total freedom, he will remain at the center, spontaneous, living himself. He will be original as he is, he will be authentic, and there will be no need to practice any self-remembering. This is, again, eccentric, one extreme, not a balance. We're looking for balance as we mature, right? There will be no need to practice any meditation because he will never go off the center. He will remain within himself, centered, rooted, grounded in his own being. But this has not yet been possible. Meditation is, therefore, medicinal. The society creates the disease, the dis-ease, and then the disease has to be treated. Religion is medicinal. Really, if human society had based in freedom can evolve, there would be no need of religion. Because we are ill, medicine is needed. Because we are ill, medicine is needed. And because we are off-center, methods of centering are needed. If someday becomes possible on earth to create a healthy society, a healthy inner sense, there will be no religion. But it seems difficult to create such a society. The child has to be disciplined. I'm interested in these thoughts with Payoga as we continue down the road, but I'm gonna come back to that. The child has to be disciplined. What are you doing when you are disciplining a child? You are forcing something which is not natural to him. You are asking him and demanding something which he will never do spontaneously. And that spontaneity comes back to that authentic themselves with no guidance, no nurturing. Like wild, right? You will push him. That's a good thing though. You will appreciate. You will bribe him. You will do everything to make it social. To take him away from his natural being. You will create a new center in his mind, which was never there. And this center will grow to be the natural. And this center will grow, and the natural center will go into oblivion, into the unconscious. So he's saying, as we discipline the child, we're creating like a whole nother child persona, because they want to do this, but then you're telling them no. They see it's possible, but then they start doubting the possibility, even though they see that it's possible because of the beating. Now it can go in different ways. It can be beneficial to the child or not beneficial to the child. Come on, tap in.
That's why that's why the start of a lot of spiritual journeys start with unlearning.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, because most civilized society, especially Western society, I feel doesn't teach you to think for yourself.
Yeah.
Free. So for a lot of spiritual journeys, the beginning is unlearning all that child. See, as soon as you started talking discipline, I was like, I'm cooking, but let me move the laptop. I'm with you.
Yeah, okay. Cause she ain't at the disciplining age right now. But I just know that mouth gonna come back, and if she got any of the fire that I had or her mom got, yo, whoo! We gonna have to teach transmutation like tonight. She gotta, dude. She be having me by the balls. Okay, I guess we're gonna walk around the house at 2 a.m. All right, a little song, a little John Legend. Come on and go with me. All right, now she's quiet. Put her down. Oh, and back up we go.
Oh yeah. I'm with you on it.
All right. But where we at? Where's the discipline? I'm all the way over here. Ha! Your natural center has moved into the unconscious, into the dark, and your unnatural center has become your conscious. There is no real division between unconscious and conscious. The division is created. That division is our attention and our awareness. Just to see it in another light. You are one consciousness. The division comes because your own center has been forced into some dark corner. You're not accepting aspects about yourself. There's something here. That's why it's a bunch of shadow work. Because that shadow is what we're not accepting within ourselves. Once we accept that shadow, once we accept ourselves as that, find that duality, understand that we can have sensorial pleasures and then still try to liberate above them. Once we do that tantric concept going beyond duality, I'm gonna let him talk. Even if you are not in contact with it, you are not allowed to be in contact with it. You yourself have become unconscious that you have a center. You have lived in society, the culture, the family that have taught you how to live. You live a false life. For this false life, a false center is needed. That center is your ego. Now we get into the ego. We can talk a little bit more about ego. We can bring that into the topic, into the conversation. That center is your ego, your conscious mind. That is why no matter what you do, you will never be, and I don't like to say your conscious mind because we'll get into that later. I feel like we'll get into that. But your ego. That is why no matter what you do, you will never be blissful. Because only the real center can happen. Because only the real center can happen. All right, good. I did not mess that up. That's a typo. Only the real center can explode. Can come to the climax, the optimum, the possibility of bliss. The false center is a shadow game. You can play with it, you can hope with it, but ultimately nothing but frustration comes from it. With a false anxiety that is bound to be so. In a way, everything is forcing you not to be yourself. And this cannot be changed just by saying that this is wrong. Because society has its own needs. A child, when born, is just like an animal. Spontaneous, centered, grounded, but so independent. It cannot be, not like it can survive on its own and, take over the world. But roll with me here. He cannot become part of an organization. He is disturbing. He has to be forced, cultivated, and changed. In this cultivation, he has to be pushed off center. So there's like a breaking that has to happen in a sense. You see what I'm saying? A shift, a change, that existential experience for us to transform. Another important thing that I pick up from this is he cannot become part of an organization. So any union, if you're too spontaneous, if you're too this eccentric, then how are you going to become part of something else, something bigger? Because the focus is too self-sustaining, right? We live in the periphery and we live only to the extent that the society allows us. I'm going to say that again because I got this whole jump bracketed off. So go with me again. We live on the periphery and we live only in the extent that society allows us. So we never really touch our center because society doesn't allow for certain things to happen. They're like shunned or you get shamed for, ain't anybody got time for that. Our freedom is false because of the rules of the game. Of the societal game, they're so deeply fixed that you may feel that you're choosing that this or that, but you are not choosing. The choice comes from your cultivated mind. And this goes on in a mechanical way. And this is like how we can repeat cycles and keep going through having those same outcomes. Or let's go with outcomes. I like the outcomes. I'm reminded, and so now he goes into an interesting story, right? This sets the scene so we could get a better idea of what could be going on. I'm reminded of a man who married 8 women in his life. He married one woman, then divorced her, then married another. Very cautiously, very carefully, in order not to fall into the same old trap again. In every way, he calculated, and he was thinking that this new woman is going to be totally different from the first one. But within a few days, within the honeymoon, not yet even over, the new woman started to prove herself to be just as the same as the old one, the first one. Within 6 months, the marriage was shattered again. He married a third woman. Now he's still more cautious, but again, the same thing happened. He married 8 women, and every time the woman turned out to be the same as the old one. What is happening? And he was choosing very, very cautiously, very carefully what was happening. The chooser was unconscious. Unconscious of the choices or how the choices they made affects the outcome of what they say they want. We were talking about this a little bit last week. I'm gonna go forward. He couldn't change the chooser, and the chooser was always the same. So the choice was going to be the same, and the chooser works unconsciously. You go on doing this and that, and then you go on changing outward things, but you remain the same. You remain off center. Whatsoever you do, howsoever it is apparently different, it ultimately proves to be the same. The results are the same, the outcome is always the same, the consequences are the same. Whenever you feel you are choosing and you are free, then too you are not free and you are not choosing. The choice is also a mechanical thing. Scientists say, biologists particularly, say that the mind becomes imprinted, and that happens very early. In Sanskrit, we call those imprints sanskars, and they're imprints on the mind that create different ripples moving forward. So experiences shift slightly because of that ripple that's imprinted in our mind. We have a different view on reality because of it. The first 2 or 3 years are years for imprinting, and things become fixed in the mind. Yeah, they say like, give me a child up to 5 and I'll show you the man. That's exactly who that kid is. I mean, they show you themselves young, but we're only going to do but so much changing as we grow older. I'm pretty much the same person. I just chose different habits and different things. That's it. Yeah, we'll go. The child is forced to be off. Yeah, the child is forced to be off center. He has to be disciplined. He has to learn obedience. That is why it's giving so much value in obedience. The obedience destroys everyone because obedience means now you are not the center. The other is the center, and you just follow him. So, to tie this into yoga, the yoga practice, one way that I see like the led classes, the guided class, when someone guides you through it, that's exactly what we're doing. We're giving our center to somebody else. That can be a good thing. It could be that can be a good thing, but it can only get us but so far because we're not the ones doing the exploring. We have to create that experience and then be connected to it. What up, IG? Go and drop some love in the cheesy. You can throw them hearts. You can get them badges. You can cash out Venmo, PayPal. Or you could jump in the Zoom room on my website, FloatingYogi.com. And yeah, let's vibe. Ask some questions. Let's get it. Or share what you thinking. And it goes a little bit deeper. Education is a necessity in order to survive. But we make this necessity to survive an excuse for submitting. We force everyone to be obedient. What does it mean? Obedient to whom? Always someone else. The father, the mother. Someone else is there. And you have to be obedient to him. So this is where I was saying the guided practice, someone's guiding you through it, teaching you through it. They're your center. And then you're the periphery. And when you're doing like the Mysore practice, when you're the Ashtanga Mysore practice, it's kind of different. You're unlocking the inner guru in you because no one is guiding you. You're doing it yourself. You're flowing through it yourself. So you're in the observer state and in the driver's seat at the same time. So while those shifts are happening, you can see how you're grounded or ungrounded, or how you're eccentric or how you're, I don't want to say depressed, but you know, the opposite, manic or depressive. Daggone it, I said it anyway. But yeah. So yeah, come on to Super Center. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Why so much insistence on obedience? Because your father was forced to be obedient when he was a child. Your mother was forced to be obedient when she was a child. They were forced off their centers. Now they're doing the same. They're doing the same with their children, and these children would do the same again. This is how the vicious circle moves on. Freedom is killed, and with freedom, you lose your center. Pause, right? Let me say that again. Freedom is killed, and without freedom, you lose your center. Not that the center is destroyed. It cannot be destroyed while you are alive. It would be good if it was destroyed. I don't think so. You would be more at ease with yourself. That's facts. If that subconscious center of the shadow selves, of the things we don't accept about ourselves, if it doesn't exist, then we would be at ease. That's why it's so easy to fake it sometimes. When we're like, oh, moving forward, ooh. If you were totally false, and there was no real center hidden within you, you would be at ease. There would be no conflict, no anxiety, no struggle. The conflict comes into existence because the real remains there. The real remains in the center, and just on the periphery, an unreal center is created. Between these two centers, a constant struggle, a constant anxiety, tension is created. And that's like when we were talking about last week, the drive, the want to be free, when the initial want and lust for attachment, and we bait it with love. And then once we get that attachment, that slavery, then we're like, oh, I want to be free, even though you came into it wanting to have some type of bond. Bond is like you have a bond with your friends. Bond. How do we look at these bonds is a whole different topic. So, anxiety, attention is created. This must be transformed, and there is only one way. The false must disappear, and the real must be given its place. You must be regrounded into your center, into your being. Otherwise, you'll be in anguish. The false can disappear. The real cannot disappear unless you die, because that's you, right? While you are alive, the real will be there. The society can do only one thing. It can push it deep down, and it can create a barrier so that even you become unconscious of it. We do a whole bunch of that, and then we perpetuate it by lying to ourselves. Nah, that's not what's going on. I didn't do that. Let's leave it at that's not what's going on. Can you remember any moment in your life when you were spontaneous, when you just lived in the moment, when you were living yourself and you were not following anyone else? I was reading one memoir of a poet. His father had died, and the dead body was put in a coffin. The poet, the son, was weeping, crying, and then suddenly he kissed the forehead of his father's dead body and said, "There, now you are dead. I can do this. I always wanted to kiss you on your forehead, but while you were alive, it was impossible. I was so afraid of you." You can kiss only a dead father, and even if the alive father allows you to kiss, the kiss goes on being false. It cannot be spontaneous. A young boy cannot even kiss his mother spontaneously because always the fear of sex is there. The body must not come too close in contact. Even with the mother, everything becomes false. There's fear and falsity, no freedom. Fear and falsity. There is no freedom. So either you're scared of something or you're going to fake it till you make it. Until you prove to yourself that that's real, that this is what it is. Otherwise, it's just a philosophy that we think in our head. Right? Bars. He be dropping bars in this motherfucker. No spontaneousness. The real center can function only when you are spontaneous and free. Now, you will be able to understand what my attitude towards this question is. In which way can the practice of self-remembering transform the human mind? So he had to set all that groundwork, that past 30 minutes just to answer the question. So it took me 30 minutes to answer to get to the point where I can't answer your question. Fair enough. At least we're on even understanding. Let me get a sip of this agua. I will reground you. Oh, it will reground you. It will give you roots into your own center. By self-remembering, you are forgetting everything other than yourself. I like that perspective. You're forgetting everything other than yourself. Self-remembering. The society, the mad world around you, the family, the mad world around you, the society, the mad world around you, the relationships, everything you are forgetting. You are simply remembering that you are. This remembrance, you are simply remembering that you are. That, I'm going to let him speak and tap on that a little bit. This remembrance is not given by the society to you. This self-remembrance will detach you from all that is peripheral. And if you can remember, you will fall back to your own being, to your own center. The ego will be there just on the periphery, but you will be able to see it now, like any other object. You will be able to observe it. And once you become capable of observing your ego, your false center, you will never be false again. Right? I like that way of putting seeing your ego. And then it becomes a thing. And then it becomes something we can observe because we have created an experience in which I say that this is my ego. So you can see how it responds. You can see if this is or not. You can see things that are attached to it or not. So,
I was just saying today about that's one of my most important things. If I could only pick 3 things that was really important to me, it would be self-awareness, self-discipline, and self-responsibility, which I feel is both of those things together.
That's real shit.
I'm with that.
Yeah, I like that. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for adding that in there. Yeah. So yeah, I'm with those two. Damn. You may need your false center. Okay, so he talks about if you can remember and detach, you will fall back to your own being, to your center. The ego will be there, but on the periphery. So then that means that the center is you and the ego is just on the outside. It's kind of like your shell. If we think of like us as the center, and if it's on the periphery, then it surrounds us. So it's like our outer shell, that facade that we put on. Not a facade, because it is a version and an aspect of us. So he says, once you become capable of observing your ego, your false center, you will never be false again. You may need your false center because you have to live in a society which is false. So if you're living authentically yourself in a fake world, you are walking into a battlefield with no armor. Yeah, I like that. That's clear right there. Did that, Jarek. All right. Let's see. You will be able to use it now, but you will never be identified with it. It will be instrumental now. You will live on your center. You will live on your center, in your center. You will be able to use the false as a social convenience, a convection, but you will not be identified with it. Now, you know you can be spontaneous, free, self-remembering, self-remembering transforms you because it gives you the opportunity to be yourself again, and to be oneself is ultimate in to be oneself is the absolute. I like that. It allows self-remembering allows you to gives you the opportunity to be yourself again. Because if we keep thinking we are the stories that we continually tell ourselves that we are, if they're not great, that can be pretty damning. Right? It's really self-destructive. We have to really pay attention to the things we tell ourselves. And how we speak to ourselves, our self-talk. Okay, the peak of all possibilities, of all potentialities, is the divine, or whatsoever you want to call it. God is not somewhere in the past. He is your future. I think that's gonna hit for you. God is not somewhere in the past. He is your future. You have heard it said again and again that God is the Father. More significantly, He is going to be your son, not the Father, because He is going to evolve out of you. So I say God is the Son because the Father is in the past and the Son is the future. I was like, damn, okay. Yeah, like shit. And that's an ego check right there, because let's say you the father, the son's doing good and everything. You like, yeah, I did this, I did. No. Check yourself. Check yourself. That's him. Yeah, but he came from me, but that's him. You the backseat. You the past. Oh, okay. I felt that. I was like, all right. I don't know how I'm gonna feel when a baby boy pop up out that thing through the Earth portal. Whoa, moving forward. You can become divine. God can be born out of you if you are authentically yourself. You have taken the basic step. You are going toward divinity, toward total freedom. As a slave, you cannot move to that. As a slave, as a false person, there is no path towards leading towards the divine, to the ultimate possibility, the ultimate flowering of your being. First, you must be centered in yourself. Self-remembering helps, and only self-remembering helps. Nothing else can transform you. With the false center, there is no growth. Okay, I'm gonna address that before I go to that. So I like how he says self-remembering helps, and only self-remembering helps, because all the other tools. Can you still hear me on Zoom Room?
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Bad. The thing's doing what it do. I'm a cool it off for a second, turn it off, let it chill out. But if you can still hear me, we still rocking. All right, where we at? Self-remembering helps. All the tools that we use are still self-reflection, which would still fall under the category of self-remembering. Right? So, boom. All right. So, without it and only that, nothing else can transform you. Even through the tantric concepts, it's all about having the experience and then the reflection on that experience. What role did we play? What did we do? How do we want to be? And then we can readjust, because it gives us something to reflect on. It gives us something to observe. So our conscious and our spirit can make conscious decisions and not be the unconscious, the chooser. The second part, with the false center there is no growth, only accumulation. I'm going to say that one again. With the false center, there is no growth, only accumulation. And remember the distinction between accumulation and growth. With the false center, you can accumulate. You can accumulate wealth, you can accumulate knowledge, you can accumulate anything without growth. You're just accumulating. Growth happens only to the real center. Growth is not an accumulation. You are not burdened by growth. Accumulation is a burden. Throw that out there. So, boop, 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 boop. With the false center, you can accumulate. That's like you come to yoga and you half-ass it. You're BSing yourself. You ain't doing nothing to me. You're just BSing yourself. You're faking it. No growth will happen. You're just going to play within those areas in your body that you're used to. Some people are more flexible and there's still no growth. They just been there. Great. Where are you on the journey? Stagnant, stopped, or progressing? Where do you want to be? Right? Moving forward. We're trying to move forward. Or upward. Depends on how you're looking at it. But yeah. And growth is that existential experience that transforms us. It gives us something to reflect on. It gives us all right, I am becoming the conscious chooser, and then I'm going to take a little bit of short-term pain for this long-term gain. I have a goal in mind, and I'm going to see it through. Faith, focus, and finish. Have faith in what you're doing. Focus on your tasks, and always finish. If you don't finish, you're not able to observe. You've never seen the full cycles. And I'm going to say, like, full cycles, I'm the type, I like to talk. If I'm talking to somebody, I'm going to talk to you for at least a year before I realize what the hell I want to do. If we cool with what the hell's going on, at least a year. I got to see you in some cycles. I got to see how you are in the summertime. Is it like hot girl summer? I got to see you in the fall time. You know, maybe you got the little booties on with the little fur around the calves and shit. I'm with that too. maybe I gotta see you around the holidays. How do you holiday? Does it stress you out? Is it chilling? Like, what does it vibe with me? Like, it's a whole different setup there. And winter. I mean, that is winter. In spring, I gotta see if you ready and thirsty for freedom when it comes springtime. So I gotta see you through the seasons. What's up? You really gonna be here, or am I wasting my time? So accumulation, growth is not an accumulation. I love that. I love that distinction. Hopefully y'all is vibing with y'all. You can know many things without knowing anything. Facts. You can know much about love without knowing love. That's right. I got this whole jump bracketed off. You can know many things without knowing anything. You can know much about love without knowing love. Then it is an accumulation. If you know love, then it is growth. You can know much about love with the false sinner. You can love only with the real sinner. Real sinners can mature. Real sinners can mature. The false can only get bigger and bigger without any growth, without any maturity. That means they need that type of energy to keep them fulfilled, or else we just gonna do whatever it is to fulfill that desire, even if it's subconsciously destroying, self-destructive. There we go. Real sinners mature. The false can only get bigger and bigger without any growth, without any maturity. The false is the cancerous growth, an accumulation, burdening you like a disease, a dis-ease that then translates into one. Hey, what's going on, Dale? You up in this thing? I see you vibing. Way. But you can, and that is how dis-ease starts in the body. It starts mentally. We let our mental guards down, and we let our mental guards down. Then we let our physical ones down by not doing the things that we did to keep ourselves up. And then our energetic ones, then our energy stays low. Then it's not able to go through those high fluctuations to keep us balanced. There's like a whole connection to the jump. All right. But you can do. No, we didn't finish that. Yeah, we did. But you can do one thing. But you can do one thing. You can change your focus totally. From the false, you can move your eyes to the real. This is what is meant by self-remembering. Whatsoever you are doing, remember yourself, that you are. Just remember that you are there. And this is a beautiful correlation to the practice. We start with the breath. Meditation starts seated. We don't have any distractions but the breath. We can see how it is. We can feel where it goes, where it doesn't want to go, where the tension is in the body. We can create a structure. Everything is a building, and this is an accumulation process. And after we find the breath in a seated, then we can find it moving. Then we can feel the difference because we have a stable space that we're referencing, because everything is just the reference. Even all these rulers and measurement systems that we use, it is just it's not precise as we think. All right, moving forward. Don't forget it. This very remembering will give authentic reality to whatsoever you are doing. If you are loving, first remember that you are. Otherwise, you will be loving from a false sinner. And from the false sinner, you can only pretend. You cannot love. If you are loving, first remember that you are. Otherwise, you will be loving from the false center. That's like taking the bait. And from the false sinner, you can only pretend, because it's not real love. Because it's only it's conditional love. It's because this is happening. You cannot love. If you are praying, first remember that you are. Otherwise, the prayer is going to be just nonsense, just a deception, and you're not deceiving anyone else. You're deceiving yourself. So even if you church in it, even if you whatever you do, start remembering that you are. What do they say in the old, like, Egyptian ones? Know thyself. That was the Greek ones and the Egyptian ones. The Greeks got it from the Egyptians. They say know thyself, and that's what they were meaning by it. Like, know yourself, know your center, know your spirit, those inner three senses: the sight, the voice, the hearing. Know how that shifts your breath. How does that move us, the most subtle thing we have in this reality that controls this mechanism, this biomechanical mechanism. All right. First, remember that you are. And this remembering that with the practice, when you're flowing, first remember to breathe. Okay. First, remember that you are. This remembering that I am must become so basic that it follows you like a shadow. Even while you sleep, it will enter, and you will remember. So if you are one of those people who have real lucid dreams, or astral project, or whatever you want to call it, there's a connection. You have something that is really deeply rooted in in different dimensions. Your conscious is rooted in there. It can be noted to the breath. Myself, when I sleep, it's sometimes challenging for me to stay and get like a super deep rest because I'm so body aware. So I feel how my bones are like leaning in on the other one, pressing in on the pelvis. I started using like pillows. I got a damn pillow fort when I go to sleep. I don't know how Jumi and G do it. I got one between my legs. I got like two under my head. And one's a body pillow. Then we got some on the other. It's a lot of them. I like to be comfortable. That is all. However, it used to get to me and I wouldn't get any sleep. And then after smoking a bunch, I started to like find that, nah, it's okay. You can be aware of this is happening. Just let it, just feel it. Just pass out. Just be done. And not saying it was easy, but it took a little bit. And then I started to find myself sleeping and not able to move, or waking up, or having a dream that was so real. I was like kind of smelling things after I woke up, or seeing things after I woke up, or feeling things on my body after I woke up. So if you're into dream talk, I'm not that great at remembering my dreams. Clearly, I don't think I like to let go. But let's chop it up. We can learn some stuff. We can grow. Let's grow together. All right. If you can remember the whole day, and if you can remember the whole day, by and by, it enters even into your dreams, even into your sleep. You will know that I am. Then you can find the difference between reality and a dream for real. Is this VR? Is this the metaverse? The day you can know, even in your sleep, that you are grounded in your center. Now, the false is no more. It is not a burden to you. You can use it now. It is instrumental. You are not a slave to it. You have become the master. Krishna says in the Gita, while everyone is asleep, the yogi is not. He is awake. It is not meant that the yogi lives without sleep, because sleep is biological body necessity. What it's meant by is remembering even in his sleep that he is, that I am. Sleep is just on the periphery. In the center, the remembrance is there. I like that one too. That kind of explains what I said a little bit smoother. All right, let me see if this camera works. All right, hell yeah, dude. Welcome back, YouTube. Okay, the yogi remembers even while he's asleep, and you are not remembering yourself while you are even awake. You are walking on the street. How do you remember yourself? The breath. You know if you're controlling it, if you have that conscious control, that you're still present because you're choosing to do it. If it's still those shallow breaths that you have when you're not paying attention, when you're really focused on doing something, concentrating on writing an email or whatever it may be, or drawing, painting, dancing, whatever it may be. Periphery. Okay. You are walking on the street, but you are not remembering that you are. Try and you will feel the change of the quality of life, like for real. It's a shift in the quality of life. Try to remember that you are. Suddenly the new lightness comes to you. The heaviness disappears. You become weightless, kind of like after you finish practice, wake up from rest. You are thrown off the false center into the real one again. That's the yoga high, balancing reality and where we were. You are thrown off center to the real one again, but it is difficult and arduous because you are so much grounded in the false. It will take time, but no transformation is possible without self-remembering becoming effortless for you. You simply start remembering yourself. Otherwise, no transformation is possible. I like that because it has to become effortless for you, because if you have to give it your full attention to remember yourself, then whatever you're doing is going to be on the periphery. Right? Yourself, if you have to give that, then you're not focused, you're not balanced, you're not doing it as the chooser. Right? You're not doing it as the doer, the conscious chooser, the conscious doer. So those were some gems. Those were some gems tonight. So we were talking about, what did we talk about? Bam, 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 bam. We talked about being centered. We talked about initially being born in the navel. Well, we didn't talk about the navel. We talked about being centered. We talked about discipline, knocking people off center. We talked about what discipline was. It's like demanding somebody. We talked about what that direct type of discipline, not discipline in general, because discipline isn't bad, but it does have to break us all away from something we wouldn't spontaneously do. We talked about the conscious moving into the unconscious, into the dark, and in revealing certain things that we can work on. That would be like the shadow work that we're doing. We talked about the false life. We talked about the real reality. We talked about not being centered and making decisions, and then those choices that we make are off center. Those choices that we make create a ripple effect in how we see reality. We talked about that, the chooser being unconscious, the chooser being the problem, not the 8 wives, not the 8 women. We talked about there is only fear in falsity, no freedom. Because we don't live totally free. We talked about self-remembering being that bridge. We talked about the breath, remembering the breath. That's self-remembering itself as well. We talked about that being the bridge. We talked about the Ashtanga practice, how it works and puts the breath in place. And then from the breath, we're able to unite the mind, body, spirit. We're able to grow and see and observe ourselves through these cycles and patterns, through that self-remembering, that self-reflection, through a system that we're continually going. We talked about growth. We talked about accumulation. We talked about the difference between the two, because you can grow, and that's transformation, or you can just accumulate things, and that's baggage. That's right. We talked about remembering to sleep and coming back to the center. Next week, I think this is next week's one. Last night you said that one should see life in a positive dimension, and one should not give emphasis to the negative. Is this not a choice? And is this not against encountering the totality of reality, that which is? I look at that as the people getting stuck in the everything has to be positive, everything has to be this. However, we'll get into that next week. With that being said, my name is Jared the Floating Yogi. This is the Floating Yogi. This is Floating Yogi's book club. It is brought to you by Yogi, Urban Yogic Wellness and Education, restructuring health and wellness in the community. A lot of love to No Commercials, a lot of love to Born to Fly Fitness, a lot of love to Mono's Detox, to Buddha of Blessing. We out here to Suka Center. My brothers, keepers. Tomorrow it's ladies night. We got ladies night, game night. Come join us on Zoom with the shits. I'm gonna post it again in my stories if you want to come in and join in. It's a lot of shenanigans happening, yo. Monday night is the book club. Tuesday we flow it out. Ashtanga led half primary. Thursday is midday meditations. Hold Wednesday 7 a.m. G's flowing. If you want to get that emotion, let's make it happen. Excuse me. Thursday elevated yoga at 7. Also midday mind right at 12 in the poem. Then there is Saturday float and flow 10:30 in the Amtrak. What? Virtual, bring that ass. And Sunday, elevated sift and flow. We making it happen. We growing, y'all. Peace and love. Any questions, comments? Send a DM. Send some love in the Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. We'll take all of that. We're gonna keep this mission moving, keep educating, keep informing, and keep providing urban yogic wellness for the community and education. Damn it, we need to learn about ourselves.